Days have passed and the weeks are going by, yet your soul continues to ask for justice. The wish of every Cameroonian at this moment, Martinez, is for your murderers to be exposed and brought to book. Hi, that's you all viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. by 6 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news. To begin right away with our major stories, as the arrest of those connected with the brutal killing of Martinez will continue by the State Secretariat of Defense in charge of the Gendarmerie in Yaoundé. The residence of prime suspects are being searched among other investigations. And what does the law say about the search of a private residence? We'll tell you more in this edition of the news. And also, plans are on the way to check the consumption of hard drugs in Douala, especially in the Douala 2 area. Those are our major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for being with us. We begin this edition of the news in Douala. The Douala 2 municipality is said to be one of those areas where the consumption of hard drugs such as marijuana, cocaine, tramadol, and others is rampant. To fight against this practice, officials of the Douala 2 area brought together some students and other youth in a sensitization campaign against hard drug consumption. Lucy Liengu Asia was there. She now tells us more.
Fight against the consumption of hard drugs in Cameroon remains a major health concern. According to recent studies, about 300,000 youths in Cameroon consume illicit drugs, with 10% consuming cannabis and tramadol. The consumption of these hard drugs by youth has led to an increase in promiscuity, teenage pregnancies, theft, and crimes perpetrated by students. To eradicate this practice amongst youths in school milieu, a sensitization meeting has been held in the Douala 2 subdivision. The meeting brought together students from schools around. This meeting is to educate the youth on the disadvantages of consuming illicit drugs, which is dangerous to the environment and to the society. The consumption of these illicit drugs have been proven dangerous to the health and has an impact to the society. Youths who consume illicit drugs are psychologically weak. They have no value in the society and they can't bring out positive development. After the educative session, the youth expressed their satisfaction.
The consumption of illicit drugs like marijuana should be taken very serious, from the highest grade to the lowest grade. I learned that when you see somebody taking it, you should not just think that I will just leave it, but you should go and tell to the police or to any higher person about the consumption of the drugs, and that the parents should control their children, like reducing their period with their phones and telling them some morals, ethics, so that they should stop taking these drugs and be taking good informations.
Students have been encouraged to engage in the fight against the consumption of hard drugs, which is dangerous to their health and to the environment.
Hard drug consumption can destroy your future within the twinkle of an eye, so youths beware. And now we take you to the southwest region, where enormous material losses have been recorded in a fire incident which occurred at the Boya Town Market recently. Over 10 shops were razed in that inferno, and Smart Jikan Gabriel in the report which comes up next tells us that the fire was caused by a fallen electric pole.
Another ugly day for business operators at the Boya Town Market in Fako division of the southwest region. Several business operators are now without their stores after a ravaging fire incident which occurred in the early hours of the day.
So the fire started around at 3.
The fire started at about 3 a.m. That was when my neighbor shouted, but I heard as if I was dreaming. As I woke up, I went straight to get water. From there, We had to break into stores in an attempt to save some items. Tailoring and carpentry workshops all were burnt, while electricity poles also fell down.
Inside, the woman tell them, carpenter, all this store and so it just burned now, so we even try for moving them. That fire be come now, all electric pole and fall.
A total of 12 stores were burned down, amongst them a bar, a carpentry and tailoring workshops, alongside a provision store which sells gas, were destroyed by the fire. One of the store owners had just invested about 500,000 francs CFA before this incident.
So as they call me, I will call immediately on my bed and run.
Immediately I was called. I left the house with my wife, only for us to arrive to see that fire has already entered in our store. Our things had broken into the store, failed. It's not been long. I benefited 700,000 francs CFA from our daily contributions, which I used to buy things to refill the store. All is now gone.
Small change from my skin, 171,000.
It is alleged that the fire was provoked by an old electricity pole that has been abandoned, which finally fell down, causing the incident. Since the fire incident occurred, this zone of the Boyetown market and those who live around have been in darkness.
And now we take you to the West region. It was a tense atmosphere at the La Falaise, the Chang Gendarmerie post, as the angry population of Fondonera stormed the premises with peace plans to decry what they termed a sacrilege. This comes after their traditional ruler got a slap from a gendarme officer. Immaculate Fogui has the rest of that story.
Furious inhabitants of Fondonera in the Menua Division, West region of Cameroon, clamoring that justice be served for their traditional ruler, His Royal Highness Junior Tebu Chedu, who got slapped by a gendarme officer on duty. They stormed the gendarmerie unit based at La Falaise d'Unchang, holding peace plans while expressing their discontent. How dare he openly question the authority of our traditional ruler? He has no respect for the chief of Fondonera. The slap comes after His Royal Highness exchanged words with the security officer after being asked to get out of his car for not having the required information needed on his number plate. The strike action paralyzed circulation along the Nchang-Melong Road for several minutes. Circulation later resumed for the intervention of the senior divisional officer for Menua Division.
And now it seems not to be sitting well with Cameroonians, as baccalaureate holders of the Francophone subsystem of education will soon have to disburse thousands of francs CFA before withdrawing their certificates. This is among several decisions arrived at by the L'Office du Baccalauréat or the Baccalaureate Board. Glory Mala completes the story for us.
The resolution of the Office du Baccalauréat was arrived at on 16th of January 2023. According to the release, the fees for the certification of documents and other services for official examinations has been modified. Candidates preparing to sit in for these exams will be obliged to readjust their budget for the end-of-year exams and the obtention of their certificates. The head of the Baccalaureate office says the cost for the identification of certificates or transcripts will be between. The resolution of the Office du Baccalauréat was arrived at on 16th of January 2023. According to the release, a fees for the certification of documents and other services for official examinations has been modified. Candidates preparing to sit in for these exams will be obliged to readjust their budget for the end-of-year exams and the obtention of their certificates. The head of the Baccalaureate office says the cost for the identification of certificates or transcripts will cost between 5,000 francs and 20,000 francs CFA. 5,000 francs for the confirmation of results, 10,000 francs for the correction of transcripts, 15,000 francs for the establishment of a new certificate and 5,000 francs for the translation of transcripts. These changes and more were expected to take effect as from January 2nd, 2023. Baccalaureate candidates for the 2022-2023 academic year will have to spend thousands of francs CFA to be able to obtain an end-of-year certificate.
And now we told you in the headlines, viewers, that the arrest of some prime suspects in connection with the brutal killing of Martinez Zogo continue. The residences of some have been searched by the gendarmes. Now, what does the law say about the search of private residents and crime scenes in Cameroon? Babila Jonathan talked with Illegal Mind. He now tells us more.
Following the outcry of illegality and violation of the law in the search operation carried out at the residence of Amugu Belinga, one of the prime suspects in the assassination of journalist Martinez Zogo, we decided to question the complaints of his legal team, complaints that it was done without a search warrant. The Criminal Procedure Code of Cameroon is the legal instrument backing such operations by judicial police officers as part of criminal investigations.
Section 93 of the Criminal Procedure Code is very, very clear. It says that such a search could be done with the use of a warrant and could be done without a warrant in cases of a crime, especially when committed flagrant delicto.
On the Martinez Zogo assassination crime scene reconstitution, it remains unclear if that has been done or not. And about crime scene reconstitution,
it is done when the suspect has already accepted that indeed this is what happened, this is what happened. And you know that suspects don't easily accept that it happened. It is when they're confronted with other truth, with other parties, then they confess that yes, this is what actually happened. Then they say, where did it take place? Okay, can you go and show us exactly what happened? You see, that is when they move now to the scene of the crime.
Barrister Kamwa Limen says all of that is done in the quest for the truth, or better still, facts that will determine the course of judicial proceedings.
We will be talking more about that would be in the second part of the news. Now, the government of Cameroon wants to limit unemployment, generate resources by collecting levies on the salaries of foreign workers, foreigners working in Cameroon. This new aspect was explained today in Douala during the visit of the Minister for Employment and Vocational Training, Issa Chiruma Bakari, to Douala. For me, I'm Trong Sanda. Tell us more.
The minister's visit to the economic capital city Douala comes within the implementation of the new disposition of the 2023 finance law, a new disposition that instituted the collection of a financial levy by the state of Cameroon on visas offered to employment contracts of personnel of foreign nationalities.
This law empowers us to collect 2 months of salary of foreigners who are working in our nation.
The law, according to Minister Issa Chiroma Bakari, is motivated by Cameroon's strive to reduce unemployment, develop its human resource, and boost sustainable development.
The problem that the government is facing today is the massive unemployment of the youth, and it is established beyond any reasonable doubt. The exportation of raw material has never significantly contributed to the development of a nation. And the assistance of foreign country, no matter how important it is, this cannot exactly develop the nation. It was indispensable to find within ourselves any source of financing to finance the development of human capital. And this development goes through the vocational training in agriculture, in livestock and poultry, in industry. The purpose of this law is to collect enough means to give us our independence.
Hence, his decision to discuss implementation modalities with human resource directors of companies in the economic capital city.
This law to be understood by the foreigners who are working here, it was indispensable to gather today those who are in charge of the management of this problem. They came here.
Eric Zege is Human Resource Director of the Cameroon Development Corporation, the CDC.
It is an enlightenment of the text that has come into play, and we, companies, human resource directors, are going to ensure that they implement it to the letter.
The minister says foreign enterprises have exploited Cameroon for several years without a veritable contribution to its broad-based development. He thinks the time is ripe for the enterprises to show gratitude by accompanying the new vision of the government. The funds collected, according to him, will be directed to the development of priority sectors.
Thank you for me, Armstrong Sander, for that report. It brings us to the end of the first part of the news. Viewers, don't go away. Talking Points comes up in just a minute. Stay with us. Welcome back, viewers. Today our guest is Barrister Kamwa Limen. He is a legal mind or a lawyer. Barrister, thank you so much for accepting to talk to us on Talking Points tonight. We will want to know, in relation to the death of Martin Osogo, several persons are already in the dragnet of the gendarmes that have been considered as at now as suspects. Can you tell us, in your legal jargon, who actually is being considered as a suspect when a crime is being committed?
Okay, you should first of all understand the purpose for search and to ask if it's legal. The answer is very simple. It is very legal. It is legal. And the purpose is to gather material proofs, evidence, so as to build up a case file. You know that the work of the judicial police officer is to gather evidence, gather the proofs and in his investigation, and it's this investigation that at the end of it, if they see that, if the state council sees that there is enough evidence, proof to sustain a trial against the suspect, then the matter will go to court. So it is a very crucial stage in criminal litigation, and the gendarmes are authorized by virtue of the Cameroon Criminal Procedure Code in its Article 92 and further to carry out a search of residents, private residents. It is very legal. But that is done on certain conditions. The law provides that this search should be done within 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. in the evening, and it must be done in the presence of the suspect, or in his absence, a representative, his representative should be there. And thereafter, a report is being drawn of the items that are found in the residence, in the private residence of the suspect. The law goes further to even say that if they commence such a search at 6 a.m. and by 6 p.m. is not completed, the State Council can give an authorization for them to continue to carry on this search. And it is usually done through a search warrant. The State Council issues a search warrant which is used. That is the normal procedure. But we have cases too that in cases of crime and offenses committed flagrantly little, that they can proceed even without a warrant to carry on the search of private residence.
Now, Barrister, you went further to even explain how the residence of a suspect is supposed to be searched. Now, most of the suspects, those who are already in the dragnet of the gendarmes in Yaoundé, are at, they said, like it said in French, the secretariat, the State Secretariat for Defense in charge of the gendarmerie. For how long? What are the minimum number of days or maximum number of days that the suspect is supposed to spend at the Secretariat of State in charge of the gendarmerie?
In crimes where it is alleged that there might have been use of material, or that the investigators feel that when they get to the residence of the suspect, they can have material evidence, material proof then they will need to do it. For example, I know you're asking this maybe in line of recent cases in Cameroon. You know, for example, if there is murder or theft, and there is proof that there was a use of gun, there was a use of certain objects, during the investigation, it is good to visit the homes of the suspects to see if they can find some of those things that can actually serve as exhibits. So in crimes that are committed and there is suspicion that there was a use of any material, for example, if it's fake document, they believe that if they go to your house, they might see the fake stamp. You see, if it's an offense committed with the use of gun, there's probability that if they visit your residence, they might see this proof. And so it is very, very relevant.
And now, Barrister, what section of the Criminal Procedure Code allows gendarmes to get into a private residence to conduct a search?
Yes, the law provides in some cases that they can search without a search warrant. That's what the law says. The CPC says that. And so it is not a violation per se if the search is done after a commission of an offense flagrant delicto. For example, if it's alleged that somebody just killed somebody and runs into his residence, that's a flagrant delicto, an offense committed flagrant delicto. The gendarmes who have been informed, or the judicial police officers who are informed, the law permits them to get there and see if they can have some material proofs. So that is the law. The law is a bit more relaxed on those issues.
And Barrister Liman, when can the reconstruction of the crime scene be done? Because normally a common Cameroonian knows that it's supposed to be done after you have accepted that you are actually behind a crime. When should it be done?
No, look, if the law, section 93 of the Criminal Procedure Code is very, very clear. It says that such a search could be done with the use of a warrant, and could be done without a warrant in cases of a crime. In cases of a crime where the suspect is accused of a crime, especially when committed flagrant delicto. So there is a possibility, if you read section 93, it is written black and white. So it is not a violation.
Know from you at what time it can be done, any time of the day, during the day, in the afternoon, or even at night?
If a suspect does not agree that he has committed a crime, can they go to reestablish the crime scene? No. It is done when the suspect has already accepted that indeed this is what happened, And you know that suspects don't easily accept that it happened. It is when they're confronted with other truth, with other parties, then they confess that yes, this is what actually happened. Then they say, where did it take place? Okay, can you go and show us exactly what happened? You see, that is when they move now to the scene of the crime. So you cannot tell somebody who has not accepted they has committed a crime to go and show you how the crime is done. It makes even common sense. It makes no sense. So it is done when the party must have admitted.
Procedure.
It could be done at any time, of course. It's even better to be done in a day, because what is the purpose of that reconstitution? The purpose is to get more material proof that this person confessed and this is how the thing happened. So it is done within the day that the cameras, because the purpose is to establish the truth. So it is done within the day for everybody to see exactly what happened.
And now coming back to the very first question I asked, who actually can be considered or should be considered the suspects?
As I said, that is already part of the truth. You don't search for the truth, and it is already part of the truth. And so maybe your question is, how does it play in the condemnation or the pronouncement of conviction of yes, when they have all these elements, what is the purpose of investigation? It is to gather proofs, and proofs against an offender or against a suspect for the matter to be sent to court. In cases where the proofs are not sufficient, or there is no proof that the person committed an offense, the matter is dropped and the person is released. But when the judicial police officers have sufficient proof, they forward this case file to the State Council, who is the chief prosecutor, is a state prosecutor. And now with all those facts, with all those proofs, the matter will now be listed in the courts. And then you know in court, the lawyers will be there to defend, and the State Council is there to present the case. And in presenting the case, you will bring all those elements. They went to his house, this is what they found in his house. They even confessed, and they went down to reconstitute the crime, how he managed the commission of the crime, and then that is it. It is good for the procedure. It's good for the procedure.
Thank you so much, Barrister Kamwali Men, for your time. Hopefully, the suspects, for as at now, be judged, and the murderers of Martinez Zogo in this context be finally brought to book. Viewers, we thank you so much for always being with us. Don't go away. As usual, our programs continue in about 30 minutes. Sasha Langoto will be in the studio for your favorite program. Equinoxe and Julien Beth Bissar will be here at 8 p.m. for the news in the French language. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.
If you suspect you may have